Hi, my name is Bob Brown and welcome to my 8mm channel. One of the things I did with my 8mm movies is I upconverted some of them. They started life as 1080p and I upconverted them to 4K. I'm going to call the 1080p 2K, but technically it's really full high definition. 2K has a little more horizontal resolution, but you know what? I'm just going to call it 2K to make it real simple. You can do the same thing, by the way, with 720p. It doesn't really matter. The first thing I did was I created a master copy. And when I say master copy, I'm talking I rendered out a 2K copy, fully edited, color corrected, everything. And the reason I did that is because my computer and the program doesn't have to deal with multiple tracks. You're going to have multiple video tracks and you're going to have multiple audio tracks. And then if you render from that, your computer has to work 8 million times as hard to do the same thing you can do with a single track really fast. So let's see how to do that. Most likely your master copy will either be 720p or 1080p. However, if you don't want to upconvert your movie, you can just upload your master copy. But of course, we're going to upconvert our movie to 4K, which is 3840 by 2160. Once you're in this deliver page, there's hardly anything to do at this point because remember, we're not upconverting anything. Oh, and by the way, my editing program is DaVinci Resolve 18. I'm using the studio version, which is the paid version, but there's a free version, which is fully functional and does exactly the same things with no restrictions. The only difference is they don't have access to certain tools and filters, but you don't really need them for most of the stuff you're going to do anyway, especially with these up conversions. Anyway, I grab a copy. I'll leave a link in the description below. In case you even care, here's the version number of my DaVinci software. Now let's make our 2K master copy. The first thing we're going to do is go to the deliver page because right now we're in the edit page. So we'll go over here where it says deliver, select that, and now we're in the deliver page. The first thing you'll do is create a file name. I'm not going to do that because I've already done everything. I'm just showing you. Go ahead and name your file and then select a destination, which in this case is whatever folder or wherever you want this to go. That's your destination. Then you'll come over to where it says format right there. Mine, as you can see, is QuickTime. You can select other options. As you can see, there's an entire array of options. Most people usually take MP4 or QuickTime. I'm going to stick with the QuickTime. As far as the codec goes, you can leave it at H.264, but if you go to 265, you'll end up with a newer codec, which has more compression, however, better resolution. Now go over to where it says resolution and make sure that's set correctly. 1920 by 1080 HD. That's what we're going to render this at, which is our 2K master copy, of course. The frame rate, I'm going to leave it alone because we're going to keep that at 24 frames per second. Here's a section where it's a little tricky. It can get confusing, especially if you look it up on the internet, because it's kind of all over the place when it comes to quality. But here's what I've gotten out of it. The quality should match your frame rate or slightly exceed it. So we're going to restrict to, and what's our frame rate? 24. I'm going to change that and bump it up just a tad to 25,000 kilobits per second. That will give us a really good quality image with no loss, at least in theory. If you make that number higher, you might not get any more resolution, but you will get a larger file when it's really not necessary. Now, If this was 4K, then you would double that 25,000 to 50,000 kilobits per second. And then I just leave everything else alone. I go to Add to Render Queue, select that, and there it is as Job 2. I don't have a Job 1, so let me get rid of that. Now that I got rid of it, Job 2 just became Job 1. And then you'll select Render All, and you'll have your 2K copy in your destination folder. Let's take a quick look at our 2K clips. The right side is our master copies. The clips on the left, the first and second clip, are both unprocessed. Now, if you look at the two clips on the right, those were fully processed in DaVinci. They will serve as our 2K master copies for up conversions. So here's the game plan. I'm going to upconvert our movie twice. Once with DaVinci and the other with Topaz Video AI. We're going to take our master and upconvert those to 4K. After that, we'll compare the 2K version to the 4K version with both programs. Then at the very end, what we'll do is compare the results from DaVinci's 4K with Topaz's 4K, and we'll just see which one fares the best. All right, let's upconvert our 2K master copy to 4K with DaVinci. The first thing we need to do is change our timeline. I'll show you what I mean by that. We're going to go to File, Project Settings, and we're going to change our video format here. But I'm going to close this because there's another way to do it. Go to the bottom right where this sprocket is down here. Select it. It brings up the exact same dialog box. However, I don't like either one of those. I like the shortcut, Shift 9. Now that's the way to do it. I love shortcuts. What we're going to do now is change the video format from 2K 180/24, which is at the very top. We're going to change that to, drum roll please. Let's see, where is it? We want UHD 2160/24 because that's our frame rate, which is 4K. And then we're going to select Save and move on to Clip Attributes. What I'm going to do now is select these two clips. Right-click, go to Clip Attributes. It's right there. And select that. Just ignore the video frame rate because the one on the left has a different frame rate than the one on the right. It doesn't matter because either way, they're both going to get rendered at 24 frames a second. Now we're going to do what they call super scale. That's their version of up conversions. We're going to go to the very bottom and select 2x. The reason I selected 2x is because that doubles the 2K. So 2K times 2 is 4. That's 4K. 3x is 6K, and 4x is 8K. Not bad for a guy who slept through math class. Anyway, we want that 2K, so I'm going to select that. Now, I need to select the sharpness and noise reduction. I've already done the noise reduction inside the program, so I don't really want it here, or I want very little. The sharpness, I just leave that as medium, that's fine. And then I'm going to change the noise reduction at the very bottom to low. And I'll select OK. Now we're ready to go to the deliver page. Okay, and now we selected deliver. Once in the deliver page, go ahead and name your file. At the very top over here, name whatever it is. I'm not going to name it because I've already done all that. Everything's already rendered. I'm just showing you how to do it. And then you're going to choose your location where you want this file to go, your destination. You're going to select your format, which is right here. Mine is QuickTime. If you prefer MP4, select MP4 in the drop-down box. And you can see it's right there. I'm sticking with the QuickTime. Now that I have my format set to QuickTime, I'm going to look over at the codec and make sure it's correct. It shows, as you can see, H265. That's what we used for the 2K, and it populated the same number, as you can see. So the next thing we're going to do is go down to the resolution, which is right here. We need to change that because remember, we want 4K. Select the down arrow, scroll down to 3840 by 2160 Ultra HD, and there it is. Select that, and that is our correct resolution now. The frame rate, that's correct. We want 24 frames per second. Now, remember, this is 4K. The quality we have at 25,000. We doubled the resolution, so we need to double that kilobits per second, the quality. So we're going to switch that 25,000 to 50,000. And that should pretty much give us top quality across the board. And that's pretty much it. Now we'll go down to the render queue. I see I still have an old job up there. Let me X that out. And gone. All right. So select Add to Render Queue. Add, because it's asking you, add higher resolution renders. Yes, we're going to add that. And there's our project up at the top right. Go down to Render All. Select that. DaVinci then will render the project and place it in your destination folder. Here we can see the results of DaVinci's 2K to 4K up conversions. The clips on the right are the up conversions. I don't know, looks like it came out pretty good. Now let's look closer to see if we can see any difference or improvements on the 4K version, which is the one on the right. I can see a difference right away. This is a blow up of 100%. This is just a small segment of the actual frame. Right away, what jumps out at me are the sharp edges. Look at the tabletop here and compare it to the tabletop on the left, which is the 2K. The one on the right is noticeably sharper. Same thing with whatever that thing is supposed to be. I can't remember anymore. But look at the edge of this. And then same one on the right side. The right side's definitely sharper, has a cleaner edge to it. I think the overall resolution on the right side clip shows noticeable improvements. Here's another blow up of the 2K to the 4K. The 4K is on the right side. At first glance, it might be a little tough to see a huge difference, but I think overall, at least on my screen, the one on the right looks just a little bit better, which is good news because when you show it in 4K, you have an actual improvement instead of a degradation. Here's another one of the sheets on the bed. If you notice, this one's a little noisy right here with color noise. And this one's really clean looking in comparison. Also, the edge here, compared to this edge over here, the one on the right is definitely sharper. All the edges are definitely a little better on the right side, which is really good news. Now we're on the Kodachrome film. If you look at the one on the right compared to the one on the left, again, we see the same kind of pattern here. And that is, it's a little sharper on the right side than it is on the left side. It's a little tougher to notice on this one because the original was so good. So it's a little harder to tell on the right side. But if you look really close, you can see the edge on this, whatever that is down here, is a little sharper than the one on the left side here. Also, if you look at that stocking right there, and you look at the one on the right, is just a little sharper along with that white circle. Notice the shirt lines on the right shirt are sharper than the ones on the left shirt. In general, the whole image is noticeably sharper. Here's another one of the Kodachrome film. The one on the right definitely looks a little sharper than the one on the left, especially if you look like at certain types of edges and stuff like right here compared to right here. This is all soft. This has more detail in it, what little detail you can see because it's blown up so much. But if you look at the lamp, we see a slightly sharper line here than you do here. This one's a little softer. Here's another one. If you look at certain lines and stuff like that, you can really see the difference. For example, the mantle here, the fireplace mantle, on the right side, it's a little sharper than it is on the left side. Also, if you look at that roundish looking object or whatever it is on the left side, it's clearly softer than the one on the right side. And that's kind of the pattern we're seeing with the upconversion from DaVinci. It's not huge in terms of improvements, but there is a noticeable improvement. And again, that's great news because think about it. You're doubling the size of the images and still maintaining the same or better quality. And this is the last one of this group. What stands out right away for me is that bird cage because it's a good indicator of sharpness differences. And that is the edge of the top. It's pretty sharp in comparison to the one on the left side. Everything within it, too, looks a little bit more pronounced on the right side. Everything on the right side in general does look improved. So that's great news. This is the Topaz interface. The image on the left is a blow up of the 2K version from DaVinci. The one on the right is Topaz's results from their blow up of the 2K. You can see immediately the one on the right is outstanding in comparison, that is, to the one on the left. Real quick, here's the version of Topaz I used. They do updates all the time, but this was the version I used. All right, now look at the table. See this sharp edge right here? And then look at it over here on the left. It's just flat out blurry. Even the vitamin bottle or whatever that is, I have no idea what this thing is, but look at them on the right. They're noticeably sharper in every way. Even my sister looks sharper and cleaner. Oh, and by the way, I did my very best to match the framing here with the same framing as I used for the DaVinci comparisons. As you look at these images, you can see right away the one on the right is way sharper. It's kind of outstanding. I mean, like, wow, it's a night and day difference. Look at this towel or blanket or whatever that thing is. I mean, it's like, wow. And over here, it's just a blurry mess, but everything is crisp. Here's the next one. Again, night and day difference. I can sit here and go over the images from the left one to the right one, back and forth, but there's no comparison. I mean, the one on the right looks just outstanding compared to the one on the left. Look how everything, even this line right here, compared to this one over here, the one on the right is just sharp. Of course, it's not perfect sharp because it is a blow up, but in comparison to the left one, even the bedroom sheets look sharper. They also have textures. Okay, now we're on the Kodachrome blow-ups. Again, noticeably better on the right side. You can really see it in that little area here in the middle of my sister's pajamas, how good it looks on the right in comparison to the one on the left. If you look at my mom's pants on the left side, it's covered in noise, even the stocking above it. If you look at the right side at the same area, it's clean and noise-free. This image shows the blow-up of that lamp. Without question, the one on the right just blows the doors off of the one on the left. Look how clean this line is right here on the top of that lamp and on the bottom. Here you can really see the 2K blow-up is way softer than the Topaz blow-up. In other words, Topaz is just way sharper and has a lot more detail across the entire image. And let's look at this picture here. It's the same one we saw with DaVinci's comparison from their 2K to their 4K. The one on this left side is pretty soft compared to the one on the right side. Just look at this mantle. Look how crisp and sharp that is right there, the edging. And then look at the one on the left side. It's pretty soft. And look at all of this area here. This little line on that, whatever that thing is, and look at the one on the right side. It's noticeably cleaner and sharper. The whole image on the right side looks cleaner. They even added a nice film grain to the whole image. It looks more natural like film. This is the last blow up. Remember that bird cage? Look how clean and sharp that line is right there as compared to this one here. This one's just flat out blurry. Even the line here on my dad's shirt compared to the one on the left side, the one on the right side's just so much sharper. Look at the red stocking here on the left side and the crease that runs through the bathrobe. Now look at the one on the right side. I mean, it is really stellar on this side. I intentionally put the blow-ups back to back, the DaVinci and the Topaz, so you could see it right away. I kind of put the cart before the horse, but that was by design. Now let's see how we do the up conversion with Topaz. The first thing I'm going to do is open Topaz Video AI, and I'll select that. What we'll do at this point is drop and drag in our 2K files. The ones I'm going to use are the process version of the Ektachrome and process version of the Kodachrome. That's all there is to it. You just drag and drop them in. I'm going to full screen this. The first one I'm going to do is this one here. This is the Ektachrome. I want to set our output. We want that at 2 times upscale. And there it is right up here. It says 3840 by 2160 at 24 frames per second. If you look at the bottom, it shows it's an MOV file. That's the QuickTime. And the audio setting is auto. What that means is if you have an audio track, it will include it. It won't alter it, it will just include it. Now let's look at the adjustments on the right. You have the stabilization. Remember, this movie kind of jiggles around a little bit because I shot that handheld. So we're going to include that. I'm just going to use the defaults, nothing more, nothing less. Next, the motion deblur. We're going to include that. They have what's called an AI model. I go with what they suggest. And then there's frame interpolation, and we're not going to have to worry about that, but I'm going to put it on there anyway. Let's see what else we got. We have enhancement. It's all done automatically, and they use the Proteus model. And grain, I am going to include some grain because it is film after all. I'm going to accept the default of 5 on the amount, and for the size, 2. I already know this works because I've done everything you've seen here. At this point, all you have to do is select export at the bottom here. It will render the clip. As far as the Kodachrome goes, that one we're going to do a little differently. I'm going to upscale it just like the last one. Since I shot this on a tripod, I don't need stabilization. Deblur, I'll definitely take that. Frame interpolation, sure, why not? And then everything else is the same as last time, and I will include the grain, same settings. Again, just simply select export. I'm going to go ahead and select export on this one just so you can see it run. I'm going to edit out most of the render time because it's going to take forever, maybe even longer. I edited out a big chunk of time on this, and as you can see, the preview screen on the right just now came up. The render time on this is incredibly slow. Right now, the view is at 100%. I think I'm going to change it to fit. And that's it. Finally. I didn't make you go through this whole process because it would take forever. As you can see at the bottom right here, it took 6 minutes and 28 seconds to render this video. If you look over here, it's only an 8-second video. Now, let's do a direct comparison of DaVinci's 4K to Topaz's 4K. As you can see, I'm going to use the exact same images we used previously. This is a segment of my sister all blown up. You can see the tabletop again, and along with her sleeping. There is a difference between the DaVinci and Topaz upconversions. Clearly, the one on the right looks sharper than the one on the left. Looks even cleaner. Just look at the line here compared to here. The right side is much cleaner. Even along the bottle here, look at that line compared to this one. This one's almost crooked. So overall, I think Topaz wins out on this particular image. Our second image is my sister again, of course, and that's the Ektachrome. And it's her in the bed, but it's a different segment. As you can see, there's the blanket and then the white blanket towel thing there. Clearly, the one on the right looks cleaner and sharper. Even this part here, I mean, look how defined that is in comparison to this side. Also, the texture here looks so much better than it does over here. This is just kind of a white mass. Even the blanket going through here looks better on the Topaz side. So once again, I think Topaz, yeah, it just wins on this one too. Even look through here compared to here. In this third Ektachrome image, you can see there's better textures and stuff along the right side. It is a little bit sharper, especially if you look at certain lines like this and this. And where else can we look at real quick? Even through here. Looks a little cleaner on the right side. I don't think this one looks quite as dramatically better as the previous two, although I think the right side does look better, especially if you look at like the inside of that flower, that deep purple looking thing, whereas here it doesn't seem to be able to define it. This is the Kodachrome. In this image, the differences are huge. Look at my mom's black pants on the Topaz side. It's 100% noise-free. It really looks clean. As for the DaVinci side, there's all kinds of compression artifacts and color noise. It just doesn't look very good there, especially when you compare it to the Topaz side. Even this circle right here, look how sharp and clean it looks right here. Even the vertical lines along the tiles and the tiles themselves, the wall, look at it over here. Nice straight line. It has a texture. Oh, by the way, look at my sister's pajamas. They have a texture on them. Whereas here, it's not as clean and it's kind of noisy compared to the Topaz side. It even has less detail than Topaz. Again, Topaz came out on top. In this image, you can see Topaz is a little sharper than the DaVinci. Notice the vertical and horizontal lines on the Topaz side you can see are a little sharper, crisper. The whole image in general is cleaner and has less noise and compression artifacts. Once again, Topaz edges out DaVinci. I think with this image we can see a pattern here, and that is Topaz is sharper, has less noise, it's more detailed, has a nice film grain, and it's cleaner across the entire image. And here's another one. This one is a little tougher to see huge differences, and I think it's because it's very busy. Although, if you scrutinize, once again, Topaz displays less compression artifacts and noise, and the entire image is cleaner as well. Look at the bird cage on the DaVinci side, and then look at it on the Topaz side. It's nice and clean in comparison. I mean, wow, look at my dad's glasses. Even the reflection or whatever that is, the light bouncing off of his glasses compared to over here. And once again, Topaz wins out on this. Here's a 4K full frame comparison of DaVinci and Topaz. Although DaVinci and Topaz both look pretty good, I think Topaz, well, its images have a little bit more detail, sharpness, and look a little cleaner. Here's a live action version of both DaVinci's and Topaz's clips. Topaz seems to look a little cleaner and sharper, but they are both very close to each other. Also here, the same thing. This is less noisy on the Topaz side, and it's a little bit sharper. Let's compare the final stats between DaVinci Resolve and Topaz Video AI. All right, DaVinci took 52 seconds to upconvert the ectochrome, whereas Topaz took 6 minutes and 41 seconds to do the exact same thing. When it comes to the Kodachrome, DaVinci took 13 seconds. Topaz took 5 minutes and 51 seconds. As a frame of reference, DaVinci rendered the 2K master copies at around 5 seconds. Let's take a look at their final file sizes. By the way, if you look at the bottom, you can see the original 2K file was only 20 megabytes. DaVinci's ectochrome ended up at 129 megabytes. Topaz ended up at 420 megabytes. As for the Kodachrome, DaVinci ended up with 135 megabytes, and Topaz ended up with 413 megabytes. Well, is there a clear winner here? Well, that's kind of hard to answer because there's some considerations. If all you're looking for is just maximum picture quality, okay, Topaz is the way to go. It won hands down. But was it that better than DaVinci's picture quality? No, it wasn't that much better, but it was definitely better. It was sharper and had more detail. I mean, that's pretty impressive that they could do that. But the downside was, is if you remember, that is, the file sizes were huge. We only worked with 8-second clips. Could you imagine a minute and a half the size of that file? Let's see, what the 8-second clip was around 430 megabytes, if I remember right. And the DaVinci file size was somewhere around 120 megabytes, somewhere in that area. They both increased the file size, of course, because we went from 2K to 4K. The 2K started at 20.1 megabytes. Can't believe I remembered the 0.1. So let's think about it this way. If file size matters and you're okay with really good picture quality, without question, DaVinci is the way to go. But if you want that little extra edge and better quality picture and you don't care about the file size, then, you know, Topaz Video AI, that's the bomb. They did an amazing job with that software. I just wish they could somehow figure out how to get the file sizes down, but, you know, whatever. So it works. That's the main thing. So pretty much we've learned how to upconvert from 2K to 4K. And then we did that with 2 programs. We did it with DaVinci Resolve and Topaz Video AI. Both did an excellent job. And I think that's about it. I can't think of anything right now. I'm sure I will when I turn the camera off, but, you know, right now, I think we're done. I really want to thank you for watching, and that's it.